Welcome to my leadership series. I'm negotiation and leadership strategist Elizabeth Suarez. My goal is to help you enhance your skills to establish a more profitable, inclusive, and productive workplace. Throughout this series, I will be talking to industry leaders and delving into their managerial styles.
I have the honor of highlighting Violet Lim. She is the CEO and co-founder of Lunch Actually, which I did a little bit of research and found out that they are the largest Asian lunch dating company. So this is going to be interesting. So Violet, welcome and thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for having me. It's definitely a privilege and honor to be here.
Thank you. So let's go ahead and get started and get the audience to know you a little bit better. Can you let me know, I know you're dialing in from wonderful Singapore. I love that city. Can you let me know, where were you raised and where did you go to school and what did you study?
Okay. I am actually originally from Malaysia. So I'm born and raised in KL, Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. And I was in school in Malaysia all the way until when I went to do my A-levels. So I did my A-levels in the UK. And then I actually went back to Malaysia to do my diploma in law. Yeah. So and after that, I went back to UK again. So I actually completed my law degree in University of Manchester, and subsequently I went on to London School of Economics to do a master's in industrial relations and personnel management. Yeah. So when people hear about my background, they're like, okay, so how did you end up becoming a professional matchmaker? Yes.
I know, this is fascinating. I didn't even know you were a lawyer. Oh my God, this is fascinating. So tell me, what was your first full-time job? I'm just curious now.
Okay, so my first full-time job, I was actually a management associate at the corporate bank at Citibank here in Singapore.
Oh, okay. So you went the very corporate route and everything, but now we're doing dating. Oh my God. So with that, you have that corporate experience. Now you are your own company and the co-founder and the CEO. How would you define for me leadership?
I was looking at that question and I'm like, oh my goodness, there are like so many different ways to look at this. However, after thinking about it for a while, for me, I think leadership is really about aligning. So firstly, aligning, and then nextly activating, a group of people to work towards achieving a goal together.
Oh, wow. I really, really like that definition. So based on that definition, what principles do you use in order to be an effective leader?
I started out as a management associate in Citibank. So, I was really like an entry level position. And I was only in Citibank for a very short time. I was only there for like 1 year and 4 months. Yeah. And then, I quit my job and started my own company. So the truth is, it was a time where I was pretty lost as a manager or a leader because I've never led anybody before previously. Yeah, so I'm like, how do I now actually become a leader? So what I started off with is actually, I realized that there are certain things that I did not like as an employee or as a follower, so-called someone who is being led when I was working, in a bank. So one of the core principles that I do as a leader is, do not do upon others what you do not want others to do upon you. Yes. So for example, I do not like to be micromanaged. So as a result, I do not micromanage, my associates. I did not like doing things that I feel was like there's not much value add, because I remember one of the things that I was stuck doing was just like, okay, go fax this whole bunch of documents. And I was just standing there like at the fax machine, right? I'm like, oh my goodness, like what am I doing here?
I know.
I mean, of course, times have changed and we don't need to do any of these things anymore. So when I'm a leader myself now, I'm just very mindful about things that I didn't enjoy previously, even when I was an entry-level staff, and thinking how I can make sure that, I don't do upon, like my associates right now. Another thing is that I realized that as a leader, we need to realize that what is the most important thing for our associates. And I realized that, for me, family comes first.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think in order for my team members to work at their best as well, I think I need to always address their most important concern. And most of the time, it's really about family. So, like when my associates come to me with problems about family, or like they're like, oh, Violet, I'm so sorry, like this happened. And I'm just like, I don't even ask about it. I'm like, family comes first, just go deal with whatever you need to do. And then, like come back whenever you can.
Wow, that's wonderful because I, like yourself, being in that corporate world, I wish I could have heard some leaders communicate that to me and my associates as well. So let me change the topic a little bit, going from leadership into the aspect of inclusion. So today, especially in the United States and across the world, is happening. The mandate is all about, do we have inclusive leadership? Are we doing it correctly within the organizations that we lead? What's your opinion on the subject of inclusion in the workplace?
To me, I feel, like inclusion in the workplace is like a given.
Mhm.
I feel that I don't even like think about it in the sense that, because, obviously to me, it's very clear that everybody should be heard and respected. Yeah, but
Okay.
of course, like sometimes like it's challenging, because
Uh-huh.
there are just so many like differing and sometimes contradicting needs, among the different groups in an
Hmm.
organization. So for example, like in my organization, there might be different genders, there might be different age groups, there might be,
Hmm.
different belief systems as well. So I think as a leader, nobody said it's going to be easy, but for me, I believe that, since like my principle, or like my overarching idea is that everybody should be heard and respected. So as a leader, it is my job, or my responsibility to align everybody's interests, and really to help everybody to see each other's point of view.
And that's interesting because now I want to talk to you. You mentioned the fact about, including everybody's point of view, and you have some diverse workforce, not only age, but gender, I mean, everything else, beliefs, etc. So what is the biggest challenge a leader like yourself needs to focus, face in leading a diverse organization? Because I'm assuming not everybody's like you. So there's differences of everybody that works for you. Look, so what is your biggest challenge of leading a diverse organization?
I think the challenge is when you have people who maybe have different values. And
Okay.
I think, like it's something that I guess every organization struggled with. And I mean, we have struggled with it here and there as well. But what I found really useful is to make sure that when we hire, other than just focusing on, say, about what they have done before, or what their
Mm-hmm.
performance in the past has been, whether they can achieve the KPIs when they come in. We actually put
Mm-hmm.
a lot of focus about alignment of culture even before we bring them in. So when
Oh.
we do interviews, we actually, other than having, the hiring manager do the interview to really look at the skill set fit, we also have another manager who does the culture interview to make sure that they are actually going to be aligned with our company's culture as well. And actually, the culture manager, I mean, the person who's hiring for culture, have a veto power. So, like even the hiring manager, which, like, of course, as the hiring manager, you're just looking to fill the spot, right? Like, but
Okay.
then if the
Yes.
other person who is doing the culture interview feel that, like, we really need to talk about this, I understand that this is, this person makes a great fit in terms of the job itself, but I think this person's culture is really not in line with our company. And let's say if they cannot come eye to eye, usually they do, like the
Yeah.
hiring manager will say, okay, I get where you're coming from. But let's say they really cannot come eye to eye and they need a deal breaker, then they'll come to me. And then you say, okay, Violet, we have this great candidate, we think that he or she will do great in our company.
Uh-huh.
However, we are a bit iffy about the culture. Can you like meet this person and let us know what you think?
Well, Violet, I have not heard a leader like you to say, "Oh, I have a cultural manager that is
Yeah.
responsible to be interviewed concerning the culture to see if it fits." So, I'm assuming. Can you tell me what is your retention rate? Do you have a high retention rate among the people you hire?
I mean, we are not so big in a sense that we actually measure all of this, but I would say we do have a fairly high
Okay.
retention rate. We just have a town hall recently, and every town hall at the beginning of the year we will recognize people who have been with us for a long time. So
Yeah.
we have quite a number of associates, if I remember, for this time round, like 7 associates that have been with us for more than 3 years, and
Oh,
we
okay.
have another 3 associates that have been with us for more than 7 years.
Oh,
So
okay. Wow.
and I mean our company size, we are quite a small company, so we are at about 60 plus associates. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
so I would say yeah, quite a number of our associates have been with us for 3 years and up.
That is impressive. Great, good for you. So I know, like the rest of the world, we have all been going through this pandemic,
Yep.
and during this ongoing pandemic, leaders have had to reinvent, pivot, redo. I mean, recharge. You name it. Whatever
Yes.
word comes up to you.
Yes.
In order to conduct business. So, what were some of the actions that you can share with me that you had to do differently in order to make sure that lunch actually is still standing very strongly?
Yes, that's definitely a very, very good question. And I think when it happened, I mean, it really, like caught everybody off guard because,
Hmm.
like I was saying that imagine, like 1 year or 1.5 years ago, I tell you that, oh, the world is going to come to a standstill and, like nobody will be traveling. And you just look at me like I'm crazy, right? Like,
Yeah, I
no,
know.
that's never going to happen. Yeah. So for us, it was something that was quite shocking. I'm not sure if you know, I actually got COVID myself.
Oh, no, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was very challenging, like of course, firstly, we had some countries that were already started to be affected. And then the
Mhm.
next thing I knew, like, oh my goodness, I actually have COVID. And then I
Oh,
was
what?
actually in the hospital. Yeah.
Oh my
And
God.
yes, yes. But I mean very thankful because the healthcare here in Singapore is amazing. The
Hmm.
healthcare workers are amazing. So some of the things that we have done, like from the associates point of view, firstly, we started, letting people work from home. So,
Okay.
whichever
Hmm.
countries where there's a lockdown, or even in some countries, the government might not have, like call for a lockdown, but we were just monitoring the numbers, and, we were a bit concerned, for some of these countries, and we are like, okay, it's fine, even though it's not mandatory for your country, just work from home because your health is
Okay.
the most important. We are not going to take the risk. And we also have very structured regular updates because obviously,
Okay.
if everybody is working from home, like how are you going to communicate with each other and know what is happening? So for all the different teams, we would have a video update on a daily basis, and throughout
Okay.
the day, there would also be what we call like hardest. Yeah. So our managers also have virtual catch-ups and bonding sessions or even game sessions with our associates because one of the things that I talk to my managers about is really about mental health. So, like
Hmm.
even though, some of our associates, actually all of our associates did very well, like they were like overperforming actually during this entire situation. But I told them, I think one of the most important thing is that we need to check in on their mental health
Yes.
because like sometimes people might be living on their own, or like they might be living with their spouse, or like now they have to deal with their kids who's like at home as well. Like it's a total different ball game, like how can we also support them as an employer, like what else can we do for them to just ease this transition better. So for myself, I also started doing regular catch-ups with all the different teams in my company. So
Okay.
every 4 to 6 weeks, I'll arrange for like just a catch up with them. So it's like no agenda, it's
Hmm.
not talking about work, but just saying hi, like I'm just sharing with them like how has it been for me, like I even share with them like things like, oh, like I have a new skill now. I've just bought a clipper and I started like cutting my son's hair, things like that. Just very,
Okay.
like random, stories
Hmm.
that's happening as a result of COVID, and they also sharing with me about how things are. So just catch up to just like make sure everybody is fine. On the business side, we have to do quite a big pivot actually, because our business, it's very much a brick and mortar offline
Yeah.
face-to-face business.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
when the lockdown started, we are like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen? It's like if we don't do anything about it, then obviously the whole business is going to collapse, because
Yeah.
we can't meet our clients cannot go on dates with our other clients. So
Mm-hmm.
fortunately, like when things started to happen, we did not wait for things to finally happen to prepare. So we already started, I would say, trying out some virtual consultations, like to get
Oh,
our
okay.
consultants ready just in case we get into a lockdown. So thankfully we did all of this preparation, because of course we went into lockdown. And when that happened, our team was very nimble, very agile, and very, very adaptable. And we converted our entire business to virtual in a matter of like weeks. So
Wow.
we ended up doing virtual consultations. We did virtual dates, virtual events, and webinars as well. So in fact, last year we did more than 40 webinars. Which is something that we have never done previously, and we have also arranged close to 1,000 virtual dates. The virtual date was actually quite challenging in the beginning, because like a lot of clients were like, oh, I'm already using Zoom for work. You mean you want me to use Zoom for like dates as well? So the whole idea behind it, they were just like, this is it's going to be so weird, it's going to be like so awkward, like it's going to be I'm just not going to enjoy it, right? So it was really having to work with them to change their mindset, to just give them that nudge to give it a go. And I think one of the good things about virtual date is, because previously when we arranged the date for our clients, of course our matchmakers would not be able to attend all the dates, because it's happening all around the cities and
Yeah.
things like that, right? But the good thing about virtual date is our matchmaker can actually, be at the date, for the first part of it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I never thought about that. So it's a
Yeah.
little bit safer if you ask me, if you
Yes.
have the mat.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so the
Wow.
matchmaker will be there to say, oh hi, Jane, meet Peter, and then
Yeah.
Peter does what, so just having that little introduction there. And we also prepare them to have different ideas. So for example, we'll say, okay, why don't you prepare a drink before the date, so at least there's something we can talk about. And also what
Okay,
drink have you
yeah.
prepared, like let's say you have done a cocktail or something. And actually some of the feedback that we have gotten from the virtual dates were really interesting. So there was some dates that they ended up like watching the sunset together, because they are at
Oh.
home, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and then
yeah.
it's like the one of the person might be like sitting at his living room, and then like the sun is setting, and then they kind of like just change the camera direction, and then they kind of just watch the sunset together, which is something you wouldn't be able to do on a normal date, because
Yeah,
usually
no.
normal dates are during like meal times and things like that. And the other thing is also like when people are doing like virtual dates. So for example, like right now, like if you're showing me a part of your home, I might ask you, oh, tell me about like that painting on the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, so or people might have their bookshelf behind, and then you can kind of see like what their reading habits are like, which
Yeah.
again you wouldn't see this side of them, if you are going on a normal date at a restaurant.
I like that. I would have never thought, this is why I was so curious about your business. Like, how would you do it? Because you're basically, your motto is face to face, but now all of a sudden
Yeah.
you got ready for it and you said, no, this is going to be virtual. So you really pivoted and said, look at the opportunities from a virtual perspective. So I applaud you for that. So let's talk about looking post pandemic when we get to that. I mean, especially
Yeah.
that now the vaccines are coming and, are out, et cetera. What do you see as some key opportunities that lie ahead for businesses? Like what really lies ahead for businesses now, when we're keep on working towards post pandemic?
Yeah. I think there's definitely, a lot of opportunities. So I think one of it is really, the pandemic has shown us the ability to work and also manage remotely,
Yeah.
which I think in the past, like, I mean, even for myself, which I always kind of see myself as an early adopter of many things, right? I never thought that having a remote workforce would work so well. Yeah,
Hmm.
so I think the opportunity for this is really, the workforce need not be limited to the countries where we have a physical presence in.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, so now it's like, I am like working with my associates in like Hong Kong, Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia. In the past, I would actually have to fly in very
Yeah.
regularly, because then I realized that maybe it's all just in our mind, like after this whole COVID year, right? Like actually so much of management can be done remotely. So I think that's one opportunity there. And the other opportunity is really the power and the ease of like video conferencing, which is what we are doing right now. So
Exactly.
be it for like in-house communication, like so what I've shared just now, like having that very regular catch up with my team members, or be it with communication with clients. So in the past, a lot of our coaching sessions were still done face to face. But
Uh-huh.
now, like our coaching clients are very open to doing video coaching. In fact, all of our coaching sessions are now video, even though, of course, like dates for countries who are out of lockdown, like I mean, dates I think is still better like face to face. But
Yeah.
for video, for coaching, it's all video right now. So I think companies can really think about what else can we leverage on like video conferencing to really scale up and bring our business to the next level.
That's fascinating. I'm fascinated how you have taken this experience that we've all had in the world, and it has become something positive for your business and actually helping people continue doing what they need to do in dating and getting out there. So before we go, I have one more question for you. What piece of advice would you give a younger Violet? What one piece of advice you will give to a younger Violet before she left to the UK to pursue that law degree? What one piece of advice would you give her?
Um, One piece of advice that I would give the younger Violet, it's really not to worry so much about what others think of you.
Okay, that's a very good piece of advice. I think I still give myself that piece of advice.
Yeah, so I realized that looking back, like now I am 41, turning 41 this year. And looking back, like, last 10 years, last 20 years, I have always been very, very concerned about others people's views or what other people think. But I start to realize that we are usually very busy with what we think, ourselves rather than worry about other people. So sometimes I think it's really, it's just in our own mind. And
Mhm.
I believe that because we are just so worried about what other people think, that kind of stop us from doing what we can do. Like that just gives us a lot of self-doubt. So now I realize that it's okay, like there will be people who like you, there will be people who do not like you, and it's okay.
That's wonderful. Well, Violet, I want to thank you for taking this opportunity to chat with me. It has been eye-opening for me. I have really enjoyed seeing and understanding better how you are a leader that's a very strong collaborator and an excellent communicator. I'm very impressed how well you communicating have kept communicating with your team. So now, thank you for watching, all of you. Let's continue the conversation. Comment below. I will see you next time. Nos vemos.